Hello and welcome all to the go-to-market game plan. What is probably going to be one of the top LinkedIn live shows to hit LinkedIn in over the last 6 months. I'm really excited for our first installment here. This is the show where we're going to tackle go-to-market challenges that revenue professionals and go-to-market leaders like yourselves are facing in both sales, marketing, and customer success. While we are getting started, why don't you go ahead and type in the chat where you're dialing in from. Today, I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about growth strategies and processes for marketing in 2024. You know, there's still that macro economy that everybody's dealing with. And I've heard a lot of feedback from sales leaders and marketers alike that sometimes it feels like no amount of what we try to do is going to solve for the problems that we're facing with revenue attainment and lead generation when it comes to the economy. But on the other side of the coin, I'm seeing a lot of companies that are overcoming that hurdle, hitting their pipeline generation targets, hitting their revenue targets. And I think that we're going to have some great conversation today with my two guests. My first guest boasts over 13 years of marketing engagement experience and has collaborated with global brands such as Tequila Patron, Toyota, and Honda Performance Development. Currently, she's leading Future Garage, a gold tier HubSpot agency specializing in HubSpot ops and email marketing. Please welcome to the show my first guest, Amanda Martin. Amanda, how are we doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Why don't you tell the listeners, take 30 seconds, tell them a little bit more about yourself and your role at Future Garage and what you're focused on.
Sure. So I was kind of pushed into entrepreneurship during the pandemic. So the agency I was at closed its doors, and I was able to keep the clients I'd been working with. So I have two of those still in my stables. So I've been working for myself for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years, specializing in HubSpot and email marketing. That's kind of my bread and butter. It's kind of what I'm always known for. That's as far as like professionally, that's about me in a nutshell. As you can see behind me, I like to read. I have a sword. I'm a big fantasy nerd. So like lots of different interesting things that are floating around behind me.
What's your favorite thing back there on your shelf? What's your favorite trinket?
I would say the trinket's probably my sword. I dressed up like Geralt of Rivia, which is the main character in The Witcher, but I did like a female gender bender version of him last year, and that's my actual sword, and it actually has like you can actually take it out of the sheath, and it has like it's like an actual metal sword and everything. So it's actually kind of functional, I guess, if I had to use it.
There you go. That's awesome. I love it. Fantastic. Now I'm going to bring up my second guest. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce him with a similar fervor. He has over 17 years in the go-to-market space, from being a head of growth to CMO to now the head of marketing and business development at one of my favorite companies in the B2B space. I'm not wearing their hat today. I'm cleaning it because I've been wearing it nonstop and it's gotten a little dirty. But they are our partner in the podcast and LinkedIn Live space, Kixie. Please welcome to the show, Andreas Diwing. Andreas, how are we doing?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Again, same for you. Tell us, listeners, a little bit more about yourself, something in addition to kind of outside of, your title, what your day-to-day really looks like at Kixie and what you're responsible and where your focus is.
All right. So I'm the head of marketing and also our sort of BDR function, which is our outbound sales team. So really, that's what I do on a daily basis. Everything marketing and everything outbound sales is essentially reporting to me. So everything that generates a lead comes through this department.
If you want to have to evaluate Kixie, you got to go through Andreas and his team first.
That's right. That's right.
That's the way it works. And as we're getting started today, we love to get engagement from the crowd. And part of the show is we want you to be able to ask questions directly in the chat. And this way our guests can send you personalized responses that are relevant from the questions you have and the topics that we're covering and the questions that I'm going to be interested in asking the guests as well. And maybe you have a certain specific piece of information that you want to drill down on. So please feel free to ask Andreas and Amanda any questions that you have. We also want to throw as much love as possible to the sponsor and partner of the show, Kixie. So if we can get some love going in the comments, let's tag Kixie while you're watching the show. We're also going to do an awesome giveaway. Anybody that tags Kixie will be entered, but we're giving away a fully loaded 10-day trial of Kixie for them to use with their sales team. No credit card needed. If you haven't used Kixie yet, it's a fantastic tool. I think I've increased my appointment generation by about 35%. My talk times are way up. I'm not spending all this time listening to dial tones and trying to leave voicemails. They have AI-driven features. You basically spend less time dialing and more time having convos. Some great seamless integrations into my CRM. Kind of turns it into like my all-in-one true sales engagement tool, voicemail drop, local presence, all the things you could want and more. So go ahead and let's tag Kixie in the comments and get entered in to win that free trial. I guarantee you, you won't regret it. That said, let's move into the first question I have, as we're kind of doing this in a fireside format. I have some questions that I myself have put together that I think are really relevant as an entrepreneur in the space, working as a sales trainer, coach, and consultant. Obviously, a big part of my job is working with marketing to make sure that sales is aligned and doing the right things we need to be doing after leads have been generated, or giving feedback on how we can potentially build more qualified pipeline. And it goes above and beyond just what we're sending in a mass email template, right? Or how we're handing leads off to sales. And we're really going to dig into those growth strategies and processes for marketing in 2024. But Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you first. I want to hear from you walking into 2024. What is an overrated, essentially, what's an overrated process or function in marketing that you keep hearing about all the time that you say, yeah, that's maybe something you should be focused on, but I think that we're beating it to death and it's not as important as people think? What's something you're hearing and seeing in your world?
Personally, I think social media is very overrated, but I don't mean social media as a whole. I mean, somebody telling you that you have to be on every social platform and you have to be creating content for every social platform. I think I don't really think that's a really great method to growing. If you're on social media and you're wanting to grow a particular platform, if you want to work on Instagram or whatever, like if you spread too thin, it's too much, right? So like, for instance, like most B2B customers won't do well on TikTok. I mean, they can, but like where you want to get the most revenue and the most bang for your buck, where's the best place to spend your time? It's probably not TikTok. So while everybody can probably leverage it in some way, you have to kind of look at what's going to produce the most revenue and what's going to be the best use of your time, really, more than anything. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. They're like, oh, well, we're not on Instagram. All these people are posting on Instagram and everybody's on Instagram. But in reality, is that a good match for your product? Is it a good match for your company? So I think overall, like really figuring out where's the best place to spend your time, whether it's social media or otherwise, like just really trying to not spread yourself too thin and really doubling down on what works for you. And it could be any number of things. So, but I think social media is one of those things that everybody's like, oh, why aren't you on Instagram? Or like, I don't post anything for my company on anything, but I do post as myself, more so on like LinkedIn, stuff like that. It makes more sense for my audience.
Yeah, that I feel you there. I don't even have an Instagram account myself. So I'm pretty much just TikTok and LinkedIn. And then I let stuff repurpose from TikTok to YouTube just because you kind of have to. But I see a lot of people pursuing YouTube in my world right now. And I'm like, yeah, but that learning side of like sales specifically has kind of moved to TikTok because it's micro learning and it's faster for us and it's better. We can get more information quicker. Yeah. And then I use X just to vent when I see stupid stuff happen. And it gives me a good place to vent my opinions with all the other marketing professionals out there. I love that answer though. I love that. You got to find out what works for you and spend most of your time there. Andreas, we're going to kick it over to you. How about you? Let's get in the weeds here. What's it?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that thank you, Amanda. I pretty much could have copied that answer. I agree with you 100% on everything you said. At the end of the day, I think that social media is ultimately a peer-to-peer thing. It's a one-to-one, it's not one-to-many. So what I mean by that is that I think it could be really good for certain things, so like lead generation and so forth, but on a peer-to-peer basis. So essentially, we should incentivize and try to help team members individually to utilize it to grow their network, which eventually will sort of push back to the company. But as a sort of pure marketing thing for companies, I think it's hard. And I mean, I think you can see that pretty easily when you go to sort of company pages and these various networks. They have basically zero engagement because I mean, who wants to engage with just a facade or a logo? That's not who you engage with. It's at the end of the day, it's people. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, it makes me think of Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand, right? You gotta kind of find your heroes. And I think that's why affiliate marketing is really big, especially in the B2B space right now. You know, being able to partner with people that have additional reaches and kind of get that brand awareness, but also demonstrate, you know, why you're partnering together. And I love it. So, okay, let's move on to the next question. So I want to do the inverse of this, and we're going to start with Andreas. We're going to go, you know, fantasy football snake draft style. We're going to have Andreas anchored that one. We're going to have him kick off this one. So what is an underrated process or function in marketing that you don't see marketing doing enough of that you think should really be looked at in 2024, Andreas?
Well, it's a loaded question because obviously we are doing it, the things that I think that other people are not doing enough of. So no, seriously, I actually wrote this down before. So I think there's a sort of under focus or too little focus on marketing, marketing ops in general, and also on sort of influencer and partner marketing. I think those two channels, or well, I guess ops is not really a channel, but it's a foundation for how you do everything. That is underutilized. I've seen a lot in the past, and also really using the network to generate sort of more reach in terms of partners or in terms of affiliates or whatever it might be. Influencers is huge, I think, and influencers are B2B specifically. People, they follow influencers and they take advice from whatever they say. So that's something that certainly has seemed to work for us at Kixie.
Yeah, and just speaking from someone who, you know, is very active on LinkedIn and follows a lot of active people on LinkedIn, I think most of the tools that I use were because I saw someone else using them. Very rarely was it just something. Yeah, it was something from either a company I worked at, and it was like, okay, here we go. Or like the very early days of Outreach, when I was using Outreach, it was because I saw them. You know what I mean? Or same with Vidyard. Like I saw somebody using it, and I was like, oh, this makes sense. This is cool, and I see how this achieves things, and got to try it out for myself, and then was able to implement it in my business. So I agree that I think if I look at 90% of the tech stack I use, it's from seeing other people use it and the use case and driving that brand awareness. So
can I just add to that? Because that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that as well a lot, where, you know, as we keep on growing as a team, there's a new, as soon as we hire someone new, they come with a notion of this is tech stack we used in the past. And so it constantly grows because people are sharing how they used to do it. And then we're always sort of changing what our tech stack looks like. But at the same time, we also find out that our inbound clients are almost like 40% are previous users, different companies, recommended by a friend, things of that nature. So a challenge there is how do you scale that? How do you incentivize that people talk about it even more? And I'm not talking about sending out sort of gift cards, say something about us and get $50. I don't think that works, but that is something that we've really been like working on. Like, how do you expand on the sort of peer-to-peer recommendation?
Yeah, I love that that's where your head is at, because I think that's the new wave of a marketing channel that people is very underserved, and I'd agree with that. So Amanda, same question. Let's toss it over to you. What is an underrated marketing function or process that you think marketers should be more aware of walking into 2024?
So I have a tactic that I think is underutilized, and I also have a process. So process wise, I think something I've run into a lot is being a HubSpot ops person. I usually am working with multiple departments within a company. And something I've seen a lot is there's not a lot, and this is something that we preach constantly, and it never, I feel like it's, for whatever reason, it just doesn't sink into some people's brains what it actually means. But like, communication across all departments, especially sales and marketing, is so important. Like, sales should be giving marketing information and feedback on what's working, what's not working, and what information, like what are they hearing from customers that are their pain points? Like why is marketing taking that and making content around it? And it even goes to the same as like if you have a customer service department, like looping them into those kinds of meetings too, so they can hear what other people are saying. And the sales team needs to hear that, and the marketing team needs to hear that. And then like, so I think there's a lot of cohesion and synergy, I guess is the word that most people use, between departments, that there's just not a lot of communication there. And they're just sitting on a gold mine, and they really could be making their workload less because they don't have to go do all this research. They literally have the research sitting in the same offices, and they just need to leverage it better. As far as a tactic, I think that a lot of sales teams miss is one-to-one videos, and like using Loom to like do like little short videos before you have a meeting with people. I think that's such an underutilized thing, especially with remote sales teams, because the more people see your face, the better. And I think that's one thing I'm working with actually one of my client sales teams right now, is we're really wanting them to start doing a lot more one-to-one videos and doing these kind of Loom videos so that they can see faces more. So those two things, that's my two picks for underutilized stuff that is missed a lot.
I love the tactic of aligning and learning from others, because it's the most frustrating thing when I'm helping companies build onboarding plans, is like how much time they want new sellers to spend with top sellers.
Mm-hmm.
Go talk to CS. That's your crystal ball
Mm-hmm.
of what the customer is going to look like 6 months down the road. And that top seller that you have them learning from might not be the best person to learn from, because that's your top seller's competition. And yeah, we mission, vision, values, and our culture and all this that we want to preach. But I mean, hey, you lose control over that, rep potentially being afraid to share their secret sauce, because that is their secret sauce and what makes them successful. I love it. That's great. So I want to talk about something that I see a lot happening, which is what comes first, the motion or the process? And I would love to hear from both of you. We'll start with you, Amanda. Should your marketing motion dictate your process, or should it be the other way around? And I'll give a little bit of an example. What if I want to have a certain marketing motion, maybe creating a partnership or affiliate marketing motion like Andreas was talking about, but from either a skill, knowledge, or tech stack perspective, I'm limited in being able to have the process to supplement that? Should I wait to run that motion until I have the necessary process built, or should I create a process that gets me as far as I can on that motion and then just reiterate over time? What are your thoughts on, should the motion dictate the process, or the process dictate what we decide to do in the motion?
I'm more of a process person. I think if you have a process that works, or you want a process to work a certain way, then you start there, and then you figure out if your current tech stack will handle it, or if your current staff can handle it, whatever that is. Then you have to kind of go back and maybe you scale it back or whatever. But I think you have to look at what you really want the process to look like first, and then adapt what comes out of that to that process. Because if you are like, oh, well, we can make this work within this, but if it's the outcome's not what you're wanting, then it's kind of a waste of time. So I'm a process first, then kind of see where your holes are and figure it out from there.
Yeah. So you're, hey, let's do what we can on the process side, and that'll tell us what we should probably be doing. And then obviously we want to learn and grow from there. But, if we don't have the ability to handle setting up a correct way to track, partnerships and affiliate marketing, then let's focus on other things that can get us closer, and then potentially work on developing that perfect world scenario so we can fully launch something closer to what we're trying to do. All right. Love it.
Exactly.
Andreas, how about you? Same question. Should your motion dictate your process, or should your process dictate your motion and what you're doing?
Okay. First of all, I just want to go back to sort of previous question, and where you said sort of overrated marketing processes. I actually have one more, which is chasing perfect attribution, which is something I've been doing my whole career. I've been chasing it, and I'm sort of almost given up on it. It doesn't exist. The perfect attribution doesn't exist. Let's just get it out of the way. It does not exist.
I agree with that 100%.
So having said that, I'm actually, I say if we go back to this question, if it depends on what industry you're in. if you are in a sort of heavily regulatory industry, which I have spent a lot of time in, then process has to come first, because otherwise you don't have any business, or you don't have a marketing department, or you get sued, or whatever. But if you are a startup and you have created some gizmo, something, a little product that you want to get out to market, don't focus on process, focus on creativity, and let the process come afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. I personally, I'm glad both of you were able to answer that, because I'm always on the fence, and I'm in sales, so I set unrealistic expectations, right? So I'm just go. Let's do both at the same time. Let's have our cake and eat it too. That's why I didn't want to let you two know what I think is my overrated process, which is gated content. But I was like, oh, God forbid, I would never say that on a call with people in marketing. Yeah. Right.
Swearing.
Yeah. I love that. And I love how you brought it back full circle to the earlier question, which is, another thing that I love that you highlighted, something you feel overrated with, which is perfect attribution, and then tying that back into, the motion to the process question, Andreas. As we're kind of rounding out some of the questions that I have prepared, I'd love to talk a little bit about generative AI. I know the AI space is still really new. We're learning a lot of things. Recently, even the godfather of OpenAI got let go and moved around, and now he's doing something else, and who knows what else is going to happen in the future. But AI is kind of a buzzword, but there's also a lot of ways to use it. And even in generative AI, what are the two of you seeing amongst your teams and other people in your network, colleagues, marketing professionals? And what are you experiencing and experimenting with yourself as it comes to AI and marketing? And Andreas, I'm actually going to lead with you, if that's okay.
That's quite right. And this is actually one of the fields where I feel that we're sort of not behind, but we're certainly not experimenting as much as I wish we were. But we have been using it for sort of the standard stuff. We are using for chatbots. We have been using for content creation, content refinement, and obviously research. And then we have a couple of AI products ourselves. One is conversation intelligence that we have built into our product. So definitely playing around with that. But we also have, like, on an individual basis, I actually asked around here what people are using it for. And I heard things like actually writing code, which was a big sort of, obviously it's been a hurdle in the past, but writing simple code that you use with something like Zapier or something else has really helped our team to not rely on dev. So that, and also we've been using it for like real time. We were playing around with some real time enrichment. So essentially, when you are talking to a client, then you will use AI to populate all the information about the person, about the company they work for. So you get like a lifetime feed. But other than that, I mean, it's not super innovative, I guess. So I'm still learning how to use this.
Yeah, it is still super new, but the code writing thing, I've seen a lot of people using it in that way. Helps with code review, helps with Q&A a lot. Of course, a lot of copywriting going on. But Amanda, I kind of want to hear your input. What are you using AI for? What are your customers using it for? I know HubSpot has a really cool AI feature that maybe you could shed some light on as well, because I saw it, but I'm like, should I go learn about it? What does it actually do? What's its use case? What about you in terms of AI in your marketing function?
So I do use ChatGPT quite a bit, but I use it probably differently than most people. Like, I'm not writing blogs with it. Like, I'm asking it to give me 10 words for a word, like, that means the same thing. So I'm kind of using it like Google, but like, it gives me a little bit more flexibility as far as like tone and stuff like that. So, and I've, like, the other day I had to write a email to a client, and I was like, I need to send an email to a client that has these 4 points in it. And it kind of gave me a base, so I wouldn't have to sit and like rack my brain to try to figure out how to get this email kicked off. So I use it a lot for more kind of stuff like that. HubSpot's AI tool. They have, well, it has a few AI tools built into it that's newer, but the one that's most cool is called ChatSpot. So it's basically like ChatGPT for your HubSpot portal. So you can ask it, how many visitors did I have from organic search last week? What was the open rate for my last marketing email? You can just ask it questions based on the data that's in your portal, and it gives you answers. So that's really helpful, especially with clients that kind of don't really want to super get into HubSpot and really learn the tool, really heavily. They can just pull that up and just ask it questions, and it will, give them the information that they need without having to go dig through the portal, or, reach out to me saying, hey, I need to know these 3 stats from our meeting on Monday. So it gives them a little bit of it's like kind of like their own Amanda built into HubSpot that they can ask questions too, and it can get answers pretty quickly for them. So I know I was in it when it was in beta, and it's now actually live in people's portals now. So it's expanded a lot since its inception. But it's really cool. If you have HubSpot, I highly recommend just going in there, just asking it random questions, because some stuff it knows, some stuff it's a little more like, I'm not sure about that yet. But like pretty much everything you can ask is like, it will answer for you.
Yeah, it's still trying to train the model a little bit, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so early into this.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately am, subject to the copywriting side of it. It's not perfect out of the box, nor do I think it's meant to be. And I think that's where people make the most mistakes, is they feel like if it can't do it fully for me, then why should I mess with it? But when you think of the 4 phases of taking something from 0 to hero, you ideate, create, you refine, and then you implement. That's how everything's done. And what I found AI in content creation specifically is really good with is ideating and creating. And then I can go add that human element, refine, implement it, and then test it and use strategy based around what we're seeing to try to redevelop, whether it's, short form video scripts following a certain format for TikTok, or whether we're doing blog content from podcasts that we've released, things of that nature. I was really excited about the GPTs that ChatGPT released. And I saw like some stuff around building your own that I'm going to have to experiment with. But one example is I saw somebody upload the PDF of $100 million offers from Alex Hormozy, and it trained the GPT to basically make offers based on that book and its framework.
Oh, cool.
And so they would dump things in there, and I was like, this is wild. I feel like the possibilities are endless. There's even one guy I saw building a GPT, where it's like, hey, a GPT that helps me build other GPTs based on what I need. And I'm like, all right, that's like Inception. We're taking it like too many layers. Amanda, let's start with you. So in closing, if people want to learn more about Future Garage or connect with you and learn about what it is that you and your team do, how can they connect with you? And give us a 30-second elevator pitch on Future Garage.
Sure. So futuregarage.com is the website. And I guess the thing that I've heard multiple times from clients is that it's just me and a project manager. So I'm small and scrappy. I get stuff done quickly. When you submit me a task, I'm probably going to get it done that week. It's probably not going to be, unless it's like a big task. I don't work on like crazy long sprint schedules or anything like that. So it's easy to work with me because I'm a single person and not a huge agency. So that's what I've heard is my superpower as far as size goes.
That's the personal touch. That's what we all need. Too many, she'll get back to you quick and she'll do great work. So I encourage you to reach out to Amanda. Andreas, we talk about Kixie a lot, but why don't you tell people where they can find you, and then the 30-second elevator pitch behind Kixie and what y'all can help with.
Oh, and I'm a Kixie partner, by the way. I'm a Kixie partner as well.
There we go. Fantastic. All right. In a nutshell, Kixie is a calling and texting platform that allows you to essentially automate everything that has to do with sending or receiving a text. Same thing with a phone call. So we can basically, any trigger that you have in your CRM or something like that can trigger an automatic call or an automatic text. That's us in a nutshell. On top of that, beneath that, we have a complete sort of phone system, I should say, that has call queues, it has everything in IVR, it has all these things that you would expect from a phone system. To reach me, I would say LinkedIn is probably the best. It's linkedin.com/my name as one word, Andreas Diwing, Diwing. Just reach out.
Awesome. And Go to Market Game Plan is going to be releasing every other Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be working alongside Kixie to find some guests internally at Kixie that can speak to what's going on at their company, as well as partners like Amanda herself over at Future Garage. Again, tag Kixie in the comment section, be entered into that giveaway. And if you have any additional questions that you wanted for follow-up Q&A, we'll make sure that Amanda and Andreas will send you a personalized note with their response. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you both.
Thank you.